Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean Live Radio Show, featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Sanders,
also known as Ginny Almighty,
who joins Dr. Dean on tonight's program. Phone lines are now open at 602-666-6027. That's 602-666-6027. And we'll be taking your calls from around the world and right here in the USA.
Welcome, everyone, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Yes, the month of January has already fled, and here we are staring February in the eye, looking for another glorious month of renewal and resuscitation and revival and regeneration as we continue to hearken to the very wise words of Dr. Carolyn Dean, her infinite wisdom on the body, intelligent, and those tremendous genie in your genes, those little cells, those little cellular factories, those little universes, for goodness gracious sake, all trillions and trillions of them chugging, working together cooperatively in a fashion that boggles the human mind, too much to even comprehend, and yet Dr. Dean has laid her hands on it, and in her, as infinite wisdom, as I said, she has come up with some of the most amazing ways to care for this incredible universe that we live in called our bodies, to work cooperatively with nature, and even in some cases to work cooperatively with traditional medicine in order to really give it its best opportunity for healing, for recovery, for restoration, and ultimately to live cooperatively and beautifully in this wonderful world that we live in. Now, I say these things, and I know these things because I have been Dr. Dean's co-host for almost 8 years now, maybe even 9. Who even counts anymore? We've done so many of these glorious shows. And I will say one thing that is bound to happen. Number one, for our new listeners this evening, you are bound to feel better. It is inevitable. It is going to happen to you. You do not even have to do anything. You are going to be feeling better. You're going to be feeling optimal. You're going to feel enthused. You're going to feel buoyed by the information that we share with you tonight. And then when you take action on your own behalf, you're going to feel even better. Number two, I can guarantee you, you're going to hear something you've never heard before. How can I say that? Because it happens to me every week, and I've been doing this show for an awfully long time. But Dr. Dean has more than just a medical degree and being a medical doctor. She has more than just being a naturopath. She has more than having written best-selling books such as The Magnesium Miracle. She has more than being an herbalist and an acupuncturist. She has more than all these credentials combined on her side. She has experience. 50 years and even more working in natural medicine, working her family coming from, her mother's a nurse, her father wanted to be a doctor, her sisters are doctors. I mean, it's just all over her, this incredible gift of healing that she's going to share with you this evening. And that should encourage and excite you to know that you're just not talking to an everyday Joe Schmo. No, you're talking to the very Dr. Carolyn Dean. Which brings up my final point before we bring her in this evening. I want you to know this is a live call-in show, and we rely on you to call. You want to call. You want to talk to her. She's brilliant. And you want to call and share your circumstances and your information with her in such a way that she can help you sort things out and make it simple and easy for you on how to do the basics that you need to do so that you can recover your well-being as well. So, having said that, though, I'm going to tell you one thing. She's not going to give you any medical advice. I mean, she cannot do that. It's absolutely against the big powers that be and all, you know, who all the alphabet people are. But what she can do is she will tell you what she would do if it were you, if she were in your shoes. And she's worn a lot of shoes in her times, ladies and gentlemen, so she's got a big bag of information about what to do. So, without any further ado, we will bring her on in her most glorious. I can just imagine her sitting there reflectively in her chair, absolutely encouraged by the glorious sights and sounds all around her, and ready to speak to you for the next 2 hours on this beautiful broadcast. And we welcome her, our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Ginny, thank you so much. You've outdone yourself again. I do not even attempt to meet your level of introduction. So I will just throw myself into the program because we've got a lot to talk about today before we get to our callers. A lot going on, and we're here to entertain you with information that will make you happier and healthier. So what I have been starting the show out with is that we want you to refer your practitioners, ask yourself the question, what if your doctor knew about REMAG years ago? And if your doctor knows about REMAG, then they'll be able to help more and more people. Referral candy, that's a 50% discount that you get with every order. If you share that with a friend, then they get a discount and you get a discount. Get your blood testing done. You go to rnareset.com, and under the research link, you can order a home blood test kit. So this is a research project that we're engaged in to try to find out if the types of nutrients we're recommending and the amounts are causing your blood levels to change along with your clinical symptoms. So what happens here is after you register and purchase the test kit, you'll get your test results, and then within a month you'll get a coupon every month until you use up the cost of the test in coupons. So what you're getting a free test in products. So we think this is an incredible offer. Obviously it is, and we'll be promoting it more and more. Then there's our magnesium deficiency survey. It's just a simple, 6 questions that we ask of people who come to our website, and we've got the answers from almost 15,000 people now. And the percentages of different magnesium deficiency symptoms are anxiety. 65% of people say they have anxiety. 63.2% have insomnia. 51% muscle cramps, 47.4% have heart palpitations, 41.8% have restless legs, and 29.9% have headaches. So we find this just incredible, this information incredible. It really reinforces our desire to get information out to people about magnesium, but of course especially about REMAG, because it's REMAG that is the magnesium that's so well absorbed that it does make a difference. And that's what we're all about, trying to make a difference with the magnesium you take. Ginny's blog, you can find that at drcarolyndeanlive.com. It's the second heading down. And this week it's magnesium, health benefits you won't want to ignore. So you can read through it. I'll just hit the highlights just to form the basis of today's show. It starts with proper magnesium and mineral supplementation is the most supportive and life-giving thing you can do for your body. And even if you can't tell what's happening, clinical research has proven that magnesium helps the body in the following ways. Now, Ginny's listed, 10, 20, a couple dozen symptoms, but that's not all of them. For the 65 reasons why the body is melting down, we have a booklet called Total Body Meltdown and the 65 Reasons Why. are 65 magnesium deficiency symptoms that may be misdiagnosed as diseases. So if you don't find your condition in this list, then go to drcarolyndeanlive.com and download the free ebook, Total Body Meltdown and the 65 Reasons Why. So what's magnesium doing? It's promoting restful sleep. There's mood recovery from depression and anxiety. It encourages proper elimination, produces ATP energy, regulates and normalizes blood pressure, regulates heart rhythms, eliminating symptoms of AFib, helps prevent congestive heart failure, lowers serum cholesterol levels and serum triglyceride levels, decreases insulin resistance, may be preventing atherosclerosis and stroke. It gives rigidity and flexibility to your bones. It increases bioavailability of calcium. It prevents osteoporosis, prevents and reverses kidney stone formation, eases muscle cramps and spasms, prevents eclampsia. It ends cluster and migraine headaches. It enhances circulation, relieves fibromyalgia and chronic pain, treats asthma and emphysema, and helps make proteins. So it's doing a lot, and as Ginny writes in this blog, the big reveal on the limitlessness of magnesium is referenced by a doctor named Workinger, Workinger, and his team in the publication called Challenges in the Diagnosis of Magnesium Status, and that was in the journal called Nutrients. In this 2018 paper, he noted that magnesium is a critical mineral in the human body and is involved in 80% of known metabolic functions. And this adds to up to 1,000 enzyme processes. And although we suspected that magnesium was that amazing, decades ago, but with this confirmation, it just makes us sail over any opposition to our information about magnesium, and allows us to be so confident about what we're saying about magnesium and the importance of it. And the next level of confidence and competence is the fact that we've produced a magnesium that is a stabilized ion of elemental magnesium that is fully absorbed at the cellular level and isn't just a laxative. So we've been able to encourage people to take this Remag magnesium, and we've just reaped the benefits, as our customers have reaped the benefits of all the incredible stories and testimonials, and allows us just to keep going and doing what we're doing. Continuing. Now this section is important, and we go over it every once in a while, but in the blog, Ginny talks about how to get started, how to keep going, and how to sustain the homeostasis and health improvements offered through our Remag. So here are the guidelines. They come with every package. Unfortunately, some people ignore them, so we keep on reinforcing. 1, begin taking Remag slowly, especially if you have a high toxic load, have a chronic disease, or are on medications. 2, don't take too much at a time without properly testing. Get your RBC magnesium test, for example. There are 4 contraindications to taking magnesium. Not so much with Remag, but we do have to state these contraindications. If you have kidney failure, that means your kidneys aren't clearing magnesium, and it can build up in the blood. Myasthenia gravis, the intravenous administration of magnesium can accentuate muscle relaxation and collapse the respiratory muscles. If you have an excessively slow heart rate, you have to be careful. Slow heart rates may be made even slower as magnesium relaxes the heart, and excessively slow heart rates often require an artificial pacemaker, at which point you can be taking your magnesium without problem. And the fourth is bowel obstruction. The main route of elimination of oral magnesium is through the bowel. Again, not so much the REMAG, but with bowel obstruction, you have to be very cautious about taking magnesium. And someone with bowel obstruction, they're in the hospital. Kidney failure, they're in the hospital or getting dialysis several times a week and getting blood testing. Myasthenia gravis, slow heart rate, you're under a doctor's care, and they'll advise you as well about magnesium. The next part of the guidelines is, along with magnesium, take a multiple mineral supplement. That's our Remite. And follow my guidelines about adding sea salt to your drinking water. All of these minerals are necessary to maintain your mineral balance. And hydration is very important. When you start using minerals, you use more water. And if you're not drinking water, you can become dehydrated. You can even become constipated, which, kind of freaks people out because they think magnesium is a laxative. But it's about the hydration. You take your body weight in pounds, divide that in half, and drink that many ounces of a good drinking water. And in every liter of your drinking water, put a quarter teaspoon of a good sea salt. Also, make sure you have sufficient calcium, 600 milligrams a day, in your diet, or as Recalcia, our calcium supplement. So that's those are the guidelines. Pretty simple, actually. And completing the blog, not only is magnesium absolutely essential for good health, one of the best things about it is this fail-safe of having a laxative effect if you take too much. Now, this is why we have, 8, 10 people on customer service, because people will say to us, well, I'm getting diarrhea from REMAG, I must be saturated. But you may be taking it all at once. You may be taking too much in the beginning. You may be toxic and the body's flushing out. You may be killing off your yeast and the body's flushing out with diarrhea. So what the guideline that I go by is that it took me a year and a half of 4 teaspoons of REMAG before I developed the laxative effect and had to cut back and was able to cut back. And now I'm on a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half a day. So as the body builds up its stores, then you need to take less. Now the rest of it is a bit about calcium and how our high calcium diet has gotten us into problems, and that's why I only recommend 600 milligrams of calcium and at least 600 of magnesium, so a 1-to-1 ratio. And I had to take twice that amount. I was taking 1,200 milligrams for that year and a half to get rid of my heart palpitations. So that's the overview of, where is my title? Right, magnesium, health benefits you won't want to ignore. And yes, download that Total Body Meltdown and the 65 Reasons Why ebook. That's very helpful for people to understand the breadth and scope of magnesium. So I'm going to stop for just a minute because I'm going to go on about the coronavirus, etc. But I want to ask Ginny if she has anything to add.
Nope, I think we're good. That was very comprehensive, and the only thing I would like to add is please feel free to share this information with your friends and family members who are not yet taking REMAG, but that's all.
Yes, exactly. Okay, now we had a question in through customer service about nebulizing Pico Silver in the second hour of last Monday's show. So what's today? February 3rd. So last Monday is January 27th. In the second hour at the 43-minute mark, I talked about how I was nebulizing with Pico Silver. I had an airplane cough, and it was just, kind of even a little wheezy. I'd start coughing and couldn't catch my breath. And so I got a nebulizer, just a little vaporizer actually, and I put it by my side here, put in a teaspoon of Pico Silver into a couple of ounces, and I was inhaling that, and seriously, the wheezy cough was gone within a day and a half. So I thought, that's pretty awesome. Now, I could have put in Pico Silver and Remag, because Remag will help the muscle spasms in the bronchial tubes for someone who has sort of wheezing and asthma-like symptoms. But I just wanted to start with the Pico Silver, and it was quite wonderful. So our customer wrote in and mentioned that about me talking about nebulizing with Pico Silver, and she wrote that Dr. Thomas Levy released an article in the Orthomolecular Medical News Service, and the customer said, I know you're on the editorial review board, Dr. Dean. And Dr. Levy put that out October 25th, 2019. He was talking about rebooting the gut microbiome, but as part of his protocol, he recommended nebulizing with a combination of magnesium chloride, which is what Remag is, and sodium ascorbate to treat oral pharyngeal pathogens. He also recommended pre-nebulization with hydrogen peroxide, or DMSO, to break down the biofilm and expose those persistent pathogens. Now, in my world, Remag breaks down biofilm. Biofilm supposedly is pathogens that are stuck together with mucus and calcium. And the magnesium in the Remag is going to break down the biofilm, and you don't have to worry about getting kind of overdoing it with hydrogen peroxide or DMSO, which makes you smell like garlic. He gave specific dosages for dilutions and suggested other nebulizing agents such as silver that could be helpful. So I think that's probably a good resource for people, because we don't like to say on the show that people should be nebulizing our supplements. I say what I've been doing. So actually what Ginny may have it, but I'm going to email Ginny right now if she wants to put it on the chat, this link, so that people can, have a second opinion about what to do about nebulizing. Now, this came right around the same week. This question came in just last week when I was working with the Orthomolecular News Service. We were being sent out draft articles about what to do about the coronavirus. So my contribution to their article was that I would use IV magnesium or Remag, which is even better absorbed than IV magnesium, and I gave them an excerpt from the Magnesium Miracle showing the effects of magnesium chloride against viruses, where in a book called Magnesium, the Nutrient That Could Change Your Life, describes the treatment of polio, for Pete's sakes, with magnesium. And I wrote in Magnesium Miracle that in the 1920s, a Dr. Nevu published a booklet titled Therapeutic Treatment of Infectious Diseases by Magnesium Chloride, Poliomyelitis. This book described 15 cases of polio effectively treated with magnesium chloride. This doctor was so convinced of the effectiveness of the magnesium chloride that he insisted that every home should have a solution on hand to treat the first signs of sore throat, especially when stiffness of the neck was involved. His formula was 20 grams of magnesium chloride powder to a liter of water. And when I wrote this in, Dr. Levy, who was talking about nebulizing, wrote, IV magnesium and or REMAG are even less available to the poor and the masses than vitamin C. And he said magnesium chloride has a proven track record for viral infectious diseases and has to be one of the cheapest and most available agents that existed. Now, I took exception to Levy saying this because when you look at this 20 grams of magnesium chloride that I talked about for polio, well, guess what? There are only 60 milligrams of elemental magnesium in a gram of magnesium chloride. Magnesium chloride is a compound of two different elements. Magnesium, 60 milligrams. The other 940 milligrams is the chloride part of the compound. So in this 20 grams of magnesium chloride, there's only 1,200 milligrams of elemental magnesium, 1.2 grams. You look at our REMAG, 8 ounces has 14.4 grams. So, I mean, you could even do the cost comparison, but for Levy to write that REMAG is too expensive and, go for magnesium chloride, you're not even going to get the effectiveness of a magnesium chloride. You're going to get the laxative effect if you try to take a liter of 20 grams of magnesium chloride. It would just do me in. So the report that went out, or the press release, we call it, from the Orthomolecular News Association was that to use IV vitamin C and or oral vitamin C, vitamin D, selenium, and magnesium. And that's all great, but IV vitamin C is ascorbic acid. Vitamin D, they did say like 2,000 to 5,000 units, and that's fine. Selenium, there's so many different types that actually in a repeat email to the group I said our REMIDE had the selenium and zinc that are important for the immune system. And of course our REMAG has is the magnesium. Instead of vitamin C, we have our whole C reset. For the vitamin D, there's the blue ice royal, and I've been of late recommending the plant-based vitamin D3 because for me personally, the blue ice royal wasn't enough to elevate my vitamin D levels. So that was all, an interesting exercise, and to see how the doctors are viewing this whole topic of magnesium. We haven't educated them enough yet about REMAG and its benefits. In fact, when I had an email encounter with Dr. Levy, he was promoting liposomal magnesium over REMAG. And when you look at liposomal magnesium, this is magnesium L-threonate, which is encased in some sort of lipid layer that helps absorption. But each packet only has 77 milligrams of elemental magnesium. Yet on the label, it's really misinformation, actually. On the label, it says 1,000 milligrams of magnesium per packet. Well, it's 1,000 milligrams of magnesium L-threonate. Magnesium being 77 milligrams, and the other, 933, 23 being the L-threonate. So they're representing the product entirely. If I had to, and I tried the liposomal magnesium, it gave me the laxative effect, so it's not fully absorbed at the cellular level. And if I wanted to get my 1,200 milligrams, that's like 12 packets. And this box of costing $60 only has 30 packets. I would have to take a packet every 2 or 3 days. The other person who's gone hefty on magnesium L-threonate is Mercola. And his is not liposomal. It's just straight magnesium L-threonate, $35 for 90 capsules. But the dosage is 3 capsules to only get 144 milligrams. So again, I'd be taking, 2 bottles a week to try to get enough magnesium. So we just have to keep working in our world, doing our research, and our first research paper is coming out shortly to show that even just 1 teaspoon of our REMAG produced an elevation in the ionized magnesium blood levels that shows that it is immediately absorbed. And that's why we have people who will say to us, well, gosh, I just took a dose or 2 and I felt better. And now we know why, because it is so well absorbed. So we'll keep you posted on all that. Now, I want to go a little bit into Dr. Levy's microbiome treatment. So he's talking about 25 to 100 grams of vitamin C IV, and as a way to help the microbiome. But see, I don't know if that. Anyway, I think what I have to do here, Ginny, is study his microbiome treatment more, because it may be important for us to use nebulizers or vaporizers to get to the gut flora with, as I said earlier, Pico Silver and REMAG, and not have to go through the vitamin C or magnesium chloride or the hydrogen peroxide he recommends. So I'll go into that at some future date. But there was one thing that another customer, I learn a lot from customers, believe me, when they write in this type of question. According to information on a Mercola article, we should not need to continue taking B vitamins once we have balanced our gut microbiome, as our body is going to make the necessary B vitamins. If we continue to take the B vitamins, this could be responsible for insomnia problems. And apparently Mercola interviewed a Dr. Gominak, Gominak, and on her website she outlines how to balance the microbiome. So Levy's trying to do it, Gominak is trying to do it, and I told Eva, our customer, that yes, it's a fascinating topic, but this doctor is really in the realm of rigorously defending her right to be ignorant of almost everything except his or her specialty. So this is what happened. She began looking at sleep and thought it was a deficiency of B12. And then she thought, oh, yeah, but everybody also has a deficiency of vitamin D. And she just focused on those 2 things. But here's what I said back to Eva. I used to think it was only 3 B vitamins produced by the gut. And Gominak has opened up the debate about the gut bacteria being capable of making all 8 Bs. But I could only find one study support this, and it was published in 2015. I said maybe in a perfect world that would occur, but our intestinal flora are not perfect, and haven't been for some time. I don't know if we can even measure the gut to know if the microbiome is balanced and if we have enough B vitamins. Most research focuses on the bifido and lactobacteria and not on the soil-based bacteria that I think are crucial for health and for dealing with yeast. And the gut biome people often don't address yeast overgrowth. As for vitamin D, it absolutely requires magnesium in order to be metabolized into the active form, and sleep absolutely requires magnesium. Gomenik says that when taking 400 milligrams of pantothenic acid and a daily capsule of B100, pain scores and sleep disturbances skyrocketed. Many complained of feeling revved up and unable to fall asleep again. So the negative effects of bees are easily identified in what she's saying here because they're all high-dose synthetic bees that can be irritating to the body, alternately jamming bee receptor sites or revving them up. And that's why we use food-based and methylated bees in our reel line so the body can utilize them and not be irritated by them. Most researchers try to focus on one nutrient. And as I said earlier, she first thought sleep defects were caused by B12 deficiency. Then she found that everyone had vitamin D deficiency. If she did proper ionized magnesium testing, she would find low magnesium in the sleepless. It's never one thing or even two things. However, as I said earlier, with 80% of known metabolic function in the body dependent on magnesium, I start there. As for gut health, I get people on the yeast detox protocols and the completement formulas. Now, in Gomenek's website, I couldn't find her protocols because she's monetized them heavily. She charges $2,500 for a doctor workshop or $179 for a 30-minute private session. But
no way.
Yes, way.
That is super totes crazy. So she's charging $180 to talk to people for a half hour, and you're talking to people all the time and not charging anything.
Well, we're trying to do something. We're on a mission. I'll dive deeper and see what she's recommending, but the blood test she recommends to people before they have their consult is vitamin D and B12. And she sells those as well. But she does say to optimize gut microbiome, keep your vitamin D level above 40, which is what our grassroots health people are saying, and take a B50 or B100 supplement for 3 months. Now, above, she says the B50 or B100 are going to irritate a person, so I don't understand. Maybe you take them for 3 months and then stop. And she says this will help your microbiome grow back so that it's producing the ideal amount of B vitamins on its own. I really don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I can assure you millions of people have taken B50, B100 supplements, and they probably had a good vitamin D level, and their microbiome, as I said, probably can't even be tested for perfection. So she's creating this story that really can't be studied or verified. And now we know the bees are necessary. I know they're necessary. I know I don't want to use synthetics. That's why I'm using methylated bees and food-based bees so the body will absorb them. But the other thing about this whole methylation business is, listen to this, Ginny. Methylation is a chemical process that can either turn a gene, enzyme, or receptor on or off. Some people are poor methylators and require extra nutrients such as magnesium to keep the methylation cycle running smoothly. And deficiencies of nutrients such as magnesium can contribute to poor methylation. And that's why our folks, when they get on their REMAG, a lot of their symptoms just kind of disappear, whereas before the REMAG, they were going for testing, what's this, what's that. They come back with their genetic testing showing poor methylation, and it screws people up even more. They think, oh, now I have a genetic problem, whereas their chemical process was being kept or being slowed down because they didn't have enough magnesium. I mean, it's just so simple. One last thing, Dominac talks about the importance of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter used at the neuromuscular junction. In other words, it's the chemical that motor neurons of the nervous system release in order to activate muscles. And that's intimately involved with magnesium. And a new paper I found, awesome paper, 2017, I'll have to look up the title. Now these are, I'll just say a whole bunch of these words. It's crazy, research gobbledygook that never gets translated into clinical application, which is what we're doing with our research. So listen to this. Cytoplasmic magnesium regulates mitochondrial dependent apoptosis, which is regulated by proteins of a certain family, such as and tricarboxylic acid / Krebs cycle, acetyl coenzyme A, citrate, isocitrate, 2-oxyglutarate, succinyl coenzyme A, succinate, fumarate. These are all the enzymes in the Krebs cycle, and on to the mitochondrial magnesium effluxant system, the mitochondrial magnesium influx channel, and the voltage-dependent anion channel. Now, it's just total gobbledygook, but seriously, like Ginny and I experienced at the NIH, where were we? NIH, the Magnesium Research Conference, where there were these incredible research papers being presented, and people, not even realizing that none of this was making any difference in the population because it wasn't getting out to the population. But anyway, what this paper, I've just found the title for you. You can look it up. Magnesium in cell oxidation. So it's called Oxidative Medicine and Cellular Longevity. That's the name of the journal, and it's the review article is called "The Involvement of Mg2+ in Regulation of Cellular and Mitochondrial Functions." So there, I have talked myself into a position of just awesome speculation about how amazing this magnesium business is, and how much we have to appreciate it. So over to you, Ginny.
Very good. Yes, I agree 100%. It is incredible. And Carolyn, I don't know if you remember this or not, but do you remember that we saw so much information at the NIH about the power of magnesium that my eyes literally got red and started to bleed from having to look at those big screens for 3 straight days. My brain was exploding with joy, and it started leaking out of my eyeballs. Like, literally, you guys, my eyes were red for like 2 days, and they hurt from just straining to suck in as much information as I could. I mean, And it's funny because, here are the little researchers in their own world, literally all over the world, and they're just huddled over their little microscope, and then they came to the conference and present their paper, and they see what everybody else is working on, and they were just all tripped out. I mean, everybody was just high through the whole thing, thinking about how incredible this mineral is and what it does for human health is really, really impactful. So I'm glad when you take your time and explain things, because I think it's important for people to really understand that, what one of our employees said to me the other day, well, he said, there's no downside to taking Remag. I look at it like a long-term investment. It's like you're putting money away in your 401k, and the next thing you know, you're retired and you're a millionaire. I mean, he's 24 years old.
Yeah,
he's like, I will be taking this every day, and so it's really exciting to see people really understanding not only the curative aspect of it, but the preventative aspect. Once you feel better, and that's the thing we have to really encourage people to is, don't get cocky and think, okay, well, I feel better now, I can just slide, because that's not it. You really want to, there's no end to what it will do, and you really do want to sustain that improvement and use it then proactively as a preventative for future things. And you do want to have magnesium storage sites on your body so that if you do get into an episode, I saw a really precious testimonial from one of our customers, and she was talking about losing her husband and her job of 30 years all within the same window of time, and it stressed her out so bad. She was so depleted of magnesium. She went through a terrible health event, and she, never again.
Yes, we can give ourselves that insurance policy, but that's very cute, a 24-year-old deciding that magnesium is like putting money in the bank.
Yeah, they're very, very cute. Very cute. Derek, he has become the newest Remag savant in on the staff, so it's fun. It's fun to watch him really embrace it and take it on. Okay, so let's see where we are with a couple questions, and I know we have callers. Let me just remind everybody that 602-666-6027 is the number. We will take your phone call here in just a minute. Star 5 on your keypad will let me know that you're on the phone to speak to Dr. Dean, and wave your hand on my board here in the studio so that we can take your phone off mute. If you don't hit star 5, your phone will remain on mute, and I will not know that you are calling to talk with her. And if for some reason you're here and I don't call on you, just hit me on the chat line and let me know what your area code is, and I'll take your phone off mute as well, because sometimes that just doesn't work for people. Okay, couple of things. First of all, Nancy M. shared her email as I had asked, so thank you, Nancy, for sharing. She said she shared it with 3 people, so I think that's just awesome. Just wonderful to 3 people times the number of people who listen to our show. If everybody did 3, we could possibly have a kind of a cosmic conversion. Yeah, that could be awesome.
Right.
Tracy says, good evening. I'm loving this topic, Dr. Dean. Is there a specific vegetable-based vitamin D you are recommending? And I think we did share that last week, right?
Yes, and we should have it at our fingertips. Instead of going into the kitchen, I'll look up lichen, L-I-C-H-E-N based vitamin D3, and it is Naturello, N-A-T-U-R-E-L-L-O, Naturello.
And that's a vitamin D capsule, and then Belinda also said Nordic Naturals has a vitamin D, plant-based vitamin D drop, but I didn't investigate it, and Carolyn isn't using it, so we don't know anything about that, but Belinda did add that last week. Also, Carmen asked, would brain mapping be affected by Remag or Remite or vice versa?
Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by brain mapping, but the brain... we've been realizing in research that the brain is plastic. It can change and shift. And the most important plasticity agent of the brain is magnesium, and of course Remag is the best absorbed. I'm just looking up my Magnesium Miracle book right now. I have a section in there on brain plasticity. So absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. And now Remag is also in the Remite, but what about the other minerals, Carolyn, the copper, selenium, zinc, all those other kinds of things? What is their relationship to the brain?
I don't know if I've written about that. I do have a Remite book, and what you can do is go to drcarolyndeanlive.com and just download the Remite book and look through it and read what each mineral does. But what we're finding out is that when you study a nutrient, and if you just study that nutrient in a confined space, you end up treating it like a scientist would, where you just study one thing at a time. But as soon as they look at other aspects, as soon as they open their eyes, they see that all these nutrients interact with each other and do amazing things. But yeah, as for the brain, I think all the minerals are important. We'll probably find that out when you don't have the right balance of minerals in the different organs of the body. Then you'll allow another heavy metal, for example, to take over. I think iron takes over, lead takes over from iron, for example. It bounces iron out of the way. Lead does, and that's why people think lead is so horrifying. But certainly we know with magnesium, if you look at mineral, I'm looking it up right now, mineral wheels, there's interesting like web-like wheels that will line up all the different minerals and how they push and pull at each other. So you've got lead, Pb, down in one corner, and calcium pushes back on it, and selenium pushes back on it, chromium and copper and iron. So just the interaction is crazy. And when somebody thinks they can take one nutrient out of this incredible interaction and treat it as if it's the only thing in the body, it's crazy. I mean, it's impossible to do. So there.
Excellent. Yes, and that's one of the things too, just like with the trace minerals. I mean, they're just like little spark plugs. They're just sparking everywhere. You got trillions of cells. You've got a vast neural network. You've got incredible function from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, and you just can't get enough. And what about these silly doctors, Carolyn, who say these things like this doctor, Sharon types in, a doctor told me that magnesium will block my thyroid medication. I take Nature Thyroid. Is that true?
What some of that comes from is doctors thinking magnesium is a laxative. So they think, oh, you cannot take a laxative when you're taking your medications because it'll flush them out. So they're taking not even a half truth, but they're taking a quarter truth and making it real. And the whole thing about Remag is that it's going into your cells to do its work, and it's absolutely necessary, and it helps support thyroid hormone production. Maybe if you're taking a synthetic no, I'm not even going to go there, but it's all these half and quarter truths that are very abundant on the internet that are freaking people out. That's why, we tell everybody just listen to our show and read my books, and if you have a question that comes up in your own mind that's not planted there by people who are trying to monetize something that they're promoting, then just ask us, and I'll give you the common sense approach to what I've learned over the past 50 years.
Wonderful. I'm sharing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a friend was just saying the other day how great it was that these doctors are getting on board about the paleo diet and the keto diets and all this. And I said, it's too late. I said, diet is not going to help people. That ship has sailed. Oh, great. Oh, yeah, they're all gung-ho about something that's obsolete because the soil is so dead, the environment is so toxic, you really need the nutrients. And unless their common sense hasn't told them by now that absorption is the key, and of course they're, like Mercola or Levy, they're going to go off and promote the nutrients that they're selling and not even consider that there's something better. Because they didn't make it, they won't let their people have access to it.
Yep. Okay, hang in there, everybody. Hour 2 coming up. Thanks to all the phone callers hanging in there. I see you. We'll be right back. We'll take your phone calls.
Live radio show. Along with host Ginny Sanders. Right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
What city plays?
The old categories. They don't apply anymore. And we're just superhuman, discarnate things right now.
What city plays?
We're well beyond the categories for men and women right now. And we're just superhuman, discarnate things right now.
Give me body.
Bring back the body.
Give me body.
Bring back the body.
Give me body.
I do advocate immediate fast to bring back the body.
Give me body.
Bring back the body.
Give me body.
AchieveRadio.com. We return now live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with your host, Ginny Gunther, here on AchieveRadio.com. Skype us at ar.call.in. That's ar.call.in.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hour 2 live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. So happy to have you here this Monday, February 3rd, 2020. For those who are listening through the archives or also through our podcasting, whether it's at iTunes or Stitcher or wherever we're showing up recently, just know that if you have a question that you're inspired to ask once you've heard the archive, please email questions, questions, questions at drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's our radio show website. And Melody Rose will faithfully take your information and get it to Dr. Dean, and we will do our follow-up. So that's going to be your best way to connect and share your thoughts after you hear the show. Want to do one more question from Martha. What do you suggest for pregnancy in regards to hormone fluctuations that cause stomach upset, Carolyn?
Well, is she talking about having morning sickness, for example? the B vitamins are important for that, so that would be the Realign. And, of course, the Remag is going to be very helpful because the bowel can get upset by constipation. You really have to be hydrated during pregnancy and take your magnesium. But, of course, then you have to look at the Remite as a way of supporting your thyroid function. Pregnancy has a way of stripping the thyroid hormones for the benefit of the baby, so you really need the 9 mineral building blocks for the thyroid. Yes, if all mothers took the Remag, Remite, and Realign, they'd have a wonderful pregnancy.
Yes, exactly. I think that's, I just said, you think about a little baby being in that womb, and what are they doing is they're just sucking every single mineral out of the mother to make the boats for the baby, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. They are.
I mean, they're just unreal.
Some women feel after the first 3 months, I mean, that can be everything stirred up, of course, but when the fetus's liver starts to grow, the fetal liver can actually be detoxifying the mother's toxins and make the mother feel awesome, but the pressure on the baby starts in the womb. And so this is where before you hopefully decide to get pregnant, you want to be on the Realign and the Remag and do a yeast detox and really get your body kind of humming away and clean and happy, because otherwise you do put the burden on the baby. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's incredible. Wow. Okay, and women have been having babies, for millions of years all over the planet, but they've been having babies on a healthy planet with lots of minerals in every single corner and crevice of this beautiful planet that we live on, and it's just not the same. We're not eating the same way, and we're not out in nature the same way that women used to be even 40 years ago. And you just cannot rely on the way it used to be. You've got to take proactive steps for the life of the little ones. Okay, let's take some phone calls. Exciting. Let's talk to Dr. Dean. Again, the number 602-666-6027. And what I'll do is announce your area code, and then I'll take your phone off mute, and you can get on the line with Dr. Dean and ask your questions. And again, if you're on the phone and I don't call on you, please hit me up again on the chat line, or hit *5 again. There's just no end to how many times you can hit *5 to get this thing working properly so I can get you on the phone with Dr. Dean. Okay, going to area code 731, the great state of Tennessee. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
This is Priscilla.
Oh,
and we
welcome
were
back.
Yes, I'm back. We were wondering how to know when we've reached the saturation rate on Remite.
Well, the thing of it is, Priscilla, it's a bit different with the Remite. I just tell people to go up to 1.5 teaspoons and stay there.
And stay there. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I still love Remag.
And we love you. Thanks, Priscilla.
I have
Bye-bye.
told a multitude of my friends about you.
Oh, good for you. Appreciate that. Okay,
Thank
good work.
you.
Thanks, sweetie.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope Priscilla is telling them via referral candy, because that's 15% off, Priscilla, on your orders, as you acquire those rewards or, that little app. And by the way, if you forget to do that, just email customer service and tell them the name of the person. They'll sort it all out for you. We're not going to get hung up on the technicalities. I just want you to know that if you're making those kind of referrals and people are buying from you, you want to, or at your recommendation, you want to snap up that 15%, because that's a nice discount on an order when you get, all the products, as most people do. Okay, let's go to area code 732. 732, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, Dr. Dean and Jenny. How are you? I hope you're well. Can you hear me?
Yes, and what's your first name?
Diana. I've talked to you a
Diana.
few times before. Yes, yeah. I have a question which is totally unrelated to my situation. My daughter, who is 32 years old, she's just uncovered a nodule on her lymph node. And so she went to a doctor, and she had a sonogram done and was told that the size is 1.6 centimeters. Originally, the doctor said he was just going to watch it and have her do a new sonogram in about a year. However, my daughter has noticed that it's been changing a little bit. So the doctor now wants to do a biopsy. So I'm just wondering, how serious is a biopsy? And is there anything that she can do? Can she take any of my supplements? Like I take Remag, Remite, Realign, and now I just ordered the, I forget what it's called, Pico Silver.
So where is the lymph node, Diana?
It's on her neck.
Right. Did she have a cold or a cough recently?
She did have a cold about a month or so ago, but the thing is, this came up about maybe three months ago, and her immune system is not very strong. And I always tell her, listen, I have Remag, I have Realign. Why don't you take some of my things, because they'll help strengthen your immune system, and they'll help you be healthier. But she resists. She's not very good about taking medications. I mean, this is not a medication; it's a new supplement, but she's not very good about that.
Well, if I don't know what to say. It's the fact that you're asking for her instead of her asking is a real sign that she doesn't want to be in charge of what's going on, because what I'd recommend, if it were me, I would be using, say, a clay poultice on the lymph node to see if I could loosen it up while getting another sonogram to see what has changed. Maybe it's breaking down. Maybe it's going away. But to jump right in and do a biopsy that quickly, and that's what doctors do. That's what they think they have to do. But personally, I'd be using a clay poultice and get another sonogram and watch it. But if she's not interested in sort of taking that responsibility, then there's nothing you can do about it.
That's true. Now, how is that spelled, Dr. Dean? Clay, and what is poultice? P-O-L-T-I-S?
P-O-U-L-T-I-C-E. Poultices, they would, do, bread poultices, just something to draw out an infection.
Oh, okay.
Right. So just you can Google. I probably have written about clay poultices. I've written about them like for MRSA, even someone who had a really bad infection on their foot, and the swelling ballooned his leg up to his knee. I put the clay poultice on most of the leg, and the next morning it was half down. It was the edema had dissipated, and it's fun to sort of do that, but at the same time, like I said, you keep in touch with your doctor and make sure that nothing's being missed.
Okay, so I'll ask her to. I'll have her research clay poultice, P-O-U-L-T-I-C-E, and then have her see if she can do that. And should she take any of the things that I'm taking, and I can just buy more? Get more from you.
Well, yes, that's true. Actually, the Remag and the Pico Silver, even the Remite, all those three would help, and Realign as well. But I'd say Remag and Pico Silver if she'll only take two things.
Okay. All right. And just take it like, I guess she'll have to start like I did, the quarter teaspoon, and then increase the Remag, and then the Pico Silver. I think you had mentioned it was 1 teaspoon, correct, with the water? the pico
Well,
silver?
you work up. Some people, depending on their symptoms, they may need 2 and 3 teaspoons of Remag and 1, 2, and 3 teaspoons of pico silver. But those are the types of things you can phone up customer service or email customer service and just clarify as you're going along.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so very much, Dr. Dean, and thank you, Ginny, for taking the call, too. Have a great night, ladies, and I'll be listening in.
Thanks, Diane. I appreciate the call. Bye-bye.
So long. Thank you.
Carolyn, what's the thing about lymph massage? What's that about?
Well, the lymph depends on muscle movement in order to make the lymph go, even from your toes all the way up to underneath your clavicle is where the lymph gathers on the right side. It's called the cisterna chyli. So the lymph gathers there and gets cleaned out through the spleen and does all kinds of wonderful things. And if people get lymph blockage, then they can get a massage, and it's not there's nothing deep or strenuous about this massage. It's like just flopping your fingers on your skin and pulling them up your arms, up your legs. Everything goes up toward your clavicles. And that's something that can be Googled, where people would look at that. Now, for the neck, with a nodule in the neck, that's an area that the lymph is so busy there in the neck, dealing with everything we put in our mouths, everything we inhale, stuff in our ears. So it's constantly draining any toxins or infections. And a nodule, a lymph node can harden up. And I wouldn't necessarily massage a lymph node. What would I do? Yeah, I would just do the clay poultice on, like I said to Diana, that's the easiest thing to get the circulation going, to try to open up that area. Because a lymph node doesn't want to be blocked. It wants to be, mobile and moving. You really should not feel the lymph nodes in your neck, but everybody knows when they've gotten a bad cold that you can get the nodes popping up and, getting even a little tender in your neck.
Good, very good, excellent. Now, also in the clay poultice, now I know that's topical, but I have somebody on the chat line, Sabina, asking, do you think ingesting clay is beneficial as like a detox or something?
I've never gotten into ingesting clay. I don't know if you can find one that's pure enough. I suppose you could, but no. Actually, that's not true, because we tell people to do bentonite clay, don't we? Bentonite.
We do for the yeast detox. We definitely tell people to do that, and I've done it in the past. It's not,
Yeah.
The main thing is you just have to get the COA, Sabina, from a reputable company to make sure that they've processed it properly. But other than that, we tell people. We used to have a good source for it, and then remember we even thought about doing our own for about 15 minutes that one afternoon, right, Carolyn?
Yeah. Yes, too messy. Too messy.
Yes, we have to break ourselves of these habits we get. Okay, let's see. So Sharon comes back around, just to follow up from the first hour. Sharon came back around and said, I've been told 2 different things in relation to nature thyroid, take with food and take on an empty stomach. Which should I do? I'm hoping I will be as lucky as you are, Dr. Dean, and then I can get off my meds with Remag and Remite.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I used to take my Armour thyroid, I think I would take it with food. I don't remember trying to take it separately, but I know a lot of people have emailed us over the years and said it's so hard to take it an hour before food or an hour after food and all that. And I do not think it matters. I don't know if there are studies that show. But yes, Sharon, it would be great if, once you get your Remite going for a few months that you could lower or stop your thyroid intake.
Very good. And following up again with Martha, who asked about pregnancy, Carolyn, she said, what can you do if you didn't detox prior to pregnancy?
Take your Remite, and Realign now.
Right, just start it now, exactly.
Yeah.
And half your body weight in ounces of water, right, Carolyn?
Correct, with the sea salt, right.
With the sea salt for the baby.
Mm-hmm.
The Remag babies that I have seen are very beautiful. They have full hair and beautiful skin, and it's really impressive. Okay. Also, Flora Revive is coming. Somebody's typing that on the chat. Brew is saying excited for Flora Revive. It is coming. It's imminent, the month of February. It is our Valentine's Day gift to you. Hopefully we'll have it before Valentine's Day. But we're getting it, and it's coming. And then you're going to be the first ones to know about it. So that's pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Where are we at with our phone callers? 602-666-6027. Again, if you're on the line and you'd like to talk to Dr. Dean, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad to take your phone off of mute. I do have an anonymous caller that's coming in here, and I just took your phone off mute. Did you hear that little click?
I heard it. This is Lisa calling in from Panama.
Lisa!
Oh. Hi,
I
Lisa
like that
from Panama. Good to hear from you.
China, right? So good to hear your voices again. We've been getting settled here and whatnot. So, but I have some great new neighbors, and I was talking with them recently, and they came across. They were sharing with me some issues that they've been experiencing, and of course, the first thing I shared with them was my experiences with you and the products and whatnot. And so I have her here tonight, and she's got some questions for you, if that's okay.
Oh, okay, excellent. Go ahead.
So her name is Vanessa. And Vanessa, this is Dr. Dean, who's been my savior with many things. So anyway, I'll introduce you both.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Gosh, well, I just scribbled down a couple of questions, and so my partner, he's 83, and he's on a lot of medication. I'm trying to think how to keep this simple. So he's feeling great. He's recovering. He was in hospital for 5 days before Christmas with a lung infection, and that showed up some problems with his heart, also with his lungs. He was a smoker for many years. He has stopped smoking for the last 10, 12 years. Anyway, he's on a bunch of medication for blood sugar, for blood pressure, for arrhythmia, for cholesterol. He's got some buildup in the arteries. He's taking a nitrate pill for that. And, it's quite overwhelming, and I'm concerned about, is it safe for him to also take the magnesium? His doctor had said, well, why don't you take a test on a B12 blood test and see if he needs the magnesium?
Well, it's the thing about magnesium, Vanessa, is that it's required by the body, but it's difficult to get in our food anymore. And then when someone's on a half a dozen drugs, it depletes magnesium. And the problem with most magnesium blood tests, it'll just be a serum magnesium test, and it's not that accurate. But yes, you could certainly get a serum magnesium test. But even regardless of the level, if you read any of my books or listen to Lisa for more than half an hour, she'll explain to you that magnesium is just crucial, vital, necessary. It's needed for 80% of all the metabolic functions in the body. And the fact that the doctors don't talk about it is just because we never learned about it in medical school. It's just not in their mind. Their mind is just filled with all the drugs that they've got to give people. But diabetes, one of the signs is low magnesium. Blood pressure, the blood vessels get tight because there's not enough magnesium to relax the muscles in the blood vessels. Arrhythmias are an electrolyte imbalance in the heart caused by magnesium deficiency. Cholesterol becomes elevated because it's missing magnesium in one of the enzymes that helps break down cholesterol. So I have a book, a free download of a book called Heart Health. You can get it on my website, drcarolyndeanlive.com, and it'll give you all this information. And then, intellectually you could say, okay, yes, we need to take this magnesium, and then you take it, and then you prove to yourself, don't stop your drugs. We never tell people to stop their drugs, and as the blood pressure improves, the arrhythmia improves, the cholesterol improves, then he won't need those medications.
Okay, we did take magnesium for a period. I think it was magnesium glycinate we were told to take. Is that a different thing to your magnesium?
Yes. The reason I had to make this magnesium, it's called Remag, was because I couldn't take enough of all the other types of magnesiums without getting a very serious laxative effect. So I would just take a little bit of these other magnesiums, get diarrhea, and lose more magnesium. So I created this Remag, which is a stabilized ion of magnesium that goes straight into the cells and gets to work. So it's different from any other magnesium on the planet.
Okay. Wow. Okay. It sounds special. The Oli has there's a bit of a tremor as well. I suppose that can also benefit, huh?
It can, because the nerves are also regulated by magnesium. If you don't have enough magnesium, then the nerves get irritated and irritable. So it's possible that will be affected as well. So yeah, you've got a little bit of homework to do. Just do some reading and just clear your mind about what you're doing, and then do it.
Okay. But thank you for your time. May I just ask one question for myself?
Sure.
I had a frozen shoulder took maybe a year and a half or so for it to heal, and now my other shoulder has gone the same way. So I'm kind of starting down the road on that shoulder.
Right.
Do you know anything about that?
Of course, the muscles they can get a bit around joints. The muscles around joints can get a bit calcified, and magnesium is important to help solubilize calcium in soft tissues where it's not supposed to be. So we have great results. You take your Remag by mouth, you spray it on the shoulder. In another week and a half, 2 weeks, we'll have our Remag lotion back in stock, and you can put a Remag lotion, apply it to the shoulder several times a day, and of course do your exercises, your swinging exercises. Don't stop moving. But it's all about calcification, and unfortunately, because especially women have been told to take calcium, we've become calcified.
Okay. Gosh, is selenium dangerous for someone with diabetes?
Well, it depends on the type of selenium. The selenium we use in our Remite is completely safe and helpful for the body, for the immune system, for diabetes. Remag is very important for the blood sugar as well. Like I said, magnesium deficiency is one of the signs of diabetes.
Okay, this really is my last question. I also have had dry eyes for the last couple of years.
Well, a lot of our people, Vanessa, have said when they do the water, as we suggest, take your weight in pounds, divide that in half, drink that many liters of water a day, not that many ounces of water. So if you're 100 pounds, you drink 50 ounces of water, and in each liter you put a quarter teaspoon of sea salt. You do that, you do your Remag and Remite, then the body gets hydrated and your eyes can also become more hydrated and less dry. So that's where to begin. The drops that can be used for dry eyes are a homeopathic called Similazin, Similazin. I don't know how hard it is to get things down there in Panama, but Similazin eye drops are what can be used as an eye drop instead of the chemical and synthetic eye drops that tend to they can even irritate the eyes. Okay?
Uh-huh. Thank you so much. You're very generous with your time. Thank you so much for speaking with me, sharing all your knowledge.
And thank Lisa. Okay. She is an ambassador of RNA Reset. Thanks, Lisa.
You know, Dr. Carolyn, I adore you, and I'm so grateful for you. And, yes, we really miss you. So hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see you in a few months, and tell Christy that the shoes she gave me are my very favorites. I wore them at my Christmas party with Ginny and the staff, and I wore them on New Year's. So there.
Oh, my God. Hi, it's Christy. I'm so glad you love them. I'll have to give you more fancy shoes.
Fancy shoes, absolutely. Okay, girls, thank you so much. Big hugs. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that's very, very sweet. Very, very sweet. All the way from Panama.
Yes, and the listeners, you remember Lisa would say, "Hi, it's Lisa from China," and now it's Lisa from Panama. Isn't that awesome? So fun.
Very, very cool. Very cool. All right, area code 510, the great state of California. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hello. My name is Avital.
Avital?
Avital, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Avital.
Yes. I wrote you a bunch of times. No, not a bunch of times. Twice. Once 2 months ago, and just this past weekend, we've exchanged some emails. I'm kind of excited to be on the show. It's my first time. I asked you about, I get revved up with Remag before sleep, and you said to lower the dosage of the thyroid medication.
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time understanding how they're connected. Also, given the fact that my expectation was that if I had enough thyroid medication, I would feel good during the day.
Right.
And I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I was trying to say, and I'm glad you called in. So that thyroid medication, when it's a synthetic medication, it's either just T3 or T4, but there's T1 and T2. There's a lot more about the thyroid.
The kind I'm taking is Armour thyroid. And a little bit synthetic. I do take 5 microgram of T3.
Right.
And I also have been taking Thyroflex, which is bovine.
Right, yes. But see, what I was wondering is if you're taking 3 different ones, and are you giving your body too many different messages? And
I didn't know that they were different.
Right, of course. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. And then you're doing the Remite, which is supposed to be help supporting your body make its own thyroid hormones. So all I was saying is, and I know you said the TSH is the only one, but if you got a TSH test, it would show if your pituitary is trying to push your thyroid to make more thyroid hormones. If it's not pushing, if the TSH is getting lower, then you may be taking too many or too much thyroid medications, and that's where.
And that affects me. And that affects me at night.
Yeah. If you look up, too much thyroid, it can make a person hyper or irritable and keep them awake. And it may be minimal. It may be just, you have a bit of a sleep issue anyway, and then there's a little bit of too much thyroid, and boom, it's too much. But
it was hard for me to understand you because I had a really fantastic, wonderful time in my life before I got the adrenal fatigue, where I was on a very high dose of pharmothyroid, and I was strong. I was running 3 times a week, and I learned to treat the system, and I was lucky to have a doctor that was willing to do that. But then when I got adrenal fatigue, it all came crashing down. I had to lower, my body couldn't handle that amount of armor, and I had to lower the dose. So, but I was talking to Julie. I just love Julie. And I talked to her today, and she insisted, she said, call on the show. And she said, maybe you need a different set of cards, and I'm willing. And I was thinking,
look what you said, Avital. You overemphasize the thyroid with all that armor, and the other hormones, they can't take that. Finally, perhaps the adrenals reacted. So
I thought that the reason that I had adrenal fatigue is for emotional stress that I wrote to you 2 months ago, and you thought it made sense to you then, and you recommended I work with Dr. Holt, and I have been. And so, but I thought that I wasn't doing well, that I still have low thyroid symptoms, because my understanding was that because the adrenals are compromised and the thyroid, they're like connected and they bring each other down or something.
There is an interconnectedness, but I think you're in sort of a transition where the minerals are supposed to help make your own thyroid hormones, and then you have to adjust taking the medicine thyroid hormones as your body improves. So there is an adjustment here that you have to ride out and get a TSH and see if you've got too much thyroid. That's all.
Okay, so you mean if it's slow?
Pardon?
You mean if the test is low, then it means I have too much thyroid?
Correct, because the TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. And if the thyroid needs to be stimulated to make more hormones, it'll be higher and higher and higher.
Right.
And the high one. Mm-hmm.
I expected to feel, so I know what it feels like to have too much thyroid, in the past. And I always thought that if I still have symptoms of low thyroid, then it can't be from the thyroid meds. But then Julie said that it could be a conflict between the thyroid meds and the Remite.
Yeah, the Remite is a different substance that you've never taken before. So it's going to be helping some parts of your thyroid and make it probably difficult to figure out. So yeah, it's different. And then there's the, as you said with Dr. Holt about the thyroid, are you trying to speed up time or slow down time and all that. So it's a time of introspection to figure out what's going on. And personally, I hardly ever see people on 3 different types of thyroid, so I have no idea what the 4 types if you think of Remite. So I really don't know what it's exactly that might be doing. But that's
the reason I am on 3 is I was in the care of a kinesiologist, and I was only on Armor.
Right.
And he said that he heard a lecture somewhere and that I might need some extra T3, so that's why I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And then he thought that I should take the Thyroplex too. So I know you're not my doctor, but I'm saying here that I don't have a doctor that can advise me on this. So I personally was thinking to just stop, because I know myself and I know that to reduce the dosage, you have to go slowly, and also you have to. Anyway, my thinking was to stop one of them, and I wanted to know if you would. What do you think about that?
Well, if you have a kinesiologist, take all the 4 products in and say, I'd like to reduce, one of the Armor or the Thyroplex or the T3. But also, Abtel, I would go to an online lab like requestatest.com and just get a TSH test.
Well, I can get a TSH test from my doctor. That's all she cares about.
Yeah.
But my Western, she doesn't like Armor. She only likes synthetic. That's the only thing she would prescribe if I would let her. But
so that's what you do. Go get the TSH and then study that and see what you think, and then ask your kinesiologist about testing to reduce.
Well, I can't go to him because of cost reason this month. But also, I did go to him with Remag and Remite, and he didn't get any reading on my Remite. He said, don't get any reading. And I was like, okay, well, I guess you can't be my doctor if you can't see this thing in, because I'm going to take it.
Right.
So I feel like I'm kind of left to my own devices, and I'm okay with that. I mean, if you can't, for obvious reason, if you can't recommend something that I would do, like how to reduce, then that's okay. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I have nobody to go to.
Yeah, it's good to you cut things in half and then quarters and then space them out by a week at a time in the reduction. I mean, you're smart enough. You can do that.
Yeah. So the Thyroplex is a capsule, so I'm just going to stop it and see for 2 weeks or so and see how I do.
Right. Yes, and that's not stopping a, quote, medication. That's more stopping a natural support. And look at it as an experiment. Get a little book and keep track and see what comes up for you. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And thank you, Jeannie.
Yes, thanks, Ginny. Thanks, Julie. Thanks,
everybody. And thanks, Julie. Wonderful Julie. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
One last thing. Okay, Avital, I just looked up Thyroplex, and it's got iodine in it. Do you know how much iodine? They don't give me on the label here, this one.
I just have to turn on the light. I do have the bottle right in front of me. I was actually prepared.
Good.
Iodine, 110 micrograms.
Micrograms,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not too much, but, you know, the Remite has the RDA of iodine. And, yes, so I'd say stopping the Thyroplex would be the best one because it could be a little too much iodine for you. So that's interesting.
All right. Well, we'll try it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent, wonderful phone calls this evening. Area code 617, the great state of Massachusetts. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Would that be me, fella?
Yes,
That's you,
go
love.
ahead.
Yay! I didn't think I would get through anymore. So I sent in all my health information because I was emailing with someone from the customer service. Did you get that by any chance?
What's your name?
Fella. F as in Frank, E-L-L-A. Fella.
No, it didn't get to me yet.
Oh, dear. So where do I start? Okay.
I don't know that we have. I don't think we have time to go. If you sent some written information, it's best that I do that first. So, because I have to do something before the end of the show, fella.
Okay, so I have a
sorry.
major question. I'll just ask the question, and I'll see if I'm taking all your products. I've been taking them for about a year. I'm on I was on 2 teaspoons of Remag and 1 teaspoon of Remite, and I'm taking everything else. And I think it significantly helped my palpitations, which were going on for 12 years, and also my itching. I have very, very itchy skin and rashes all over, and no one could tell where they came from. And so both are better, not completely, but my sleep, it was very compromised. So I heard somewhere on your show, or maybe I read it, that no sleep increase or something, increase the magnesium. So I went up slowly another teaspoon, and then I had terrible diarrhea for quite a while. So then I thought, oh, maybe it's the magnesium, or I thought I just had gut issues because I usually have an iron gut. So I stopped the magnesium, and the diarrhea stopped. So now I have to choose between, who knows, whatever symptoms, or diarrhea, or I'm not quite sure how to do this.
Right. So what you do is go back to slowly building up, to not overload, slowly building up, and get back to the balance you had before. And then before sleep, spray the Remag on your skin, or get the Remag lotion and put on a teaspoon or so on your skin before bedtime, and that won't have the laxative effect, and that'll start helping the sleep. Okay?
Okay, the other question I had is about the thyroid medication. So I was on Armour Thyroid for years, and then because of the palpitations, I switched to Nature Thyroid for some years, and palpitations were still there. So then I figured something out, that maybe it's the T3, and so switched together with a doctor and took off started Levoxil instead of the Nature Thyroid, and with a little bit of T3, still had palpitations. And when I stopped the T3 altogether, but I did it at the same time, or more or less the same time as I was doing the magnesium, then the palpitations stopped. So now I'm on Levoxil, which I don't really like because it's not natural. Do you think I can still get off it over time?
Well, I would, when you get your Remag sorted out, I would increase the Remite to 1.5 teaspoons. That's what the amount that I recommend for most everybody, and that is usually enough to support the thyroid and slowly be able to wean off medication.
That would be awesome. But so how would I do that with the doctor? Because they usually go by those numbers. And,
well, the numbers, we were just talking to Avatel about this a minute ago, and And the numbers do help. You know, if you get a TSH that shows that you don't need as much thyroid, then they have to wean you off. You're not supposed to be taking
But my numbers are always great. They're always in the range. That's the good news and the bad news.
Yeah, and I'm saying if you increase to 1.5 teaspoons of Remite, then that might give you the little bump you need to support your thyroid.
Okay.
Okay,
and
so
then I'll just go from there.
Yeah, so it'll take a little time. Get your Remag sorted out and your sleep sorted, and then you'll increase your Remite, and then have a TSH test and say, oh, my thyroid's better. I don't need the Levoxyl.
That would be beyond wonderful. and what about skin issues? I mean, it's better, but I have these outbreaks of rashes. I could just rip my skin off.
Well, we usually consider that those are related to yeast overgrowth. So what you do there, fella, is read my Reset the Yeast Connection book and see if that makes sense to you, and look at the things that you might be doing that might be, increasing this itchy skin business. But it's hydration.
No sugar, no grains, I'm on keto basically, very restricted keto, no dairy because of the skin. No, I mean, just like soon I'll be on lettuce and water, I think.
Now, are you doing the Remag lotion on your skin?
No.
Because I didn't really have, I think I had dry skin, but I had those funny bumpy things all up and down the backs of my upper arms. And when I started just using the Remag lotion as a body lotion, that went away. And everybody says that their skin improves with the Remag lotion. So maybe, I mean, you might have to go on a yeast detox at some point, but I would start with the Remag lotion. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Lots to do.
Yeah, I know. It's never ending.
Yes,
well,
and
you
also,
asked.
Carolyn, the Pico Silver is very soothing for rashes.
Oh, I take that too, but I would have to use a bottle.
No, I'm just saying don't take it only exclusively. Use it directly on your skin. Are you doing that?
I would need a bottle a day because it's all over my body, my back, my legs.
Well, you start in one area and see if it helps. But if it's that massive, then you probably have to go on a yeast detox. So, really study Reset the Yeast Connection. Okay?
Okay. So I can get that on your website?
Yes, it's under books at drcarolyndeanlive.com.
Okay. Great. Thanks so much.
Okay.
And God bless you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye now, fella.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Ginny, I have to do some mailbag.
Very good.
I got in there, Bob. Bob's he's prancing around in front of me here. Okay, what have I got? Okay, yes, the questions that came out of the Ginny's blog. Someone's asking, what RBC magnesium level between 4 and 6.2 do you consider saturation level? I've increased my level from 4.2 to 5.7 in about 2 years. Energy and health improved beyond belief. So that's awesome. And Shelley is asking this. Well, Shelley, it's about how you feel as well as the levels. So it sounds like you're feeling good. The saturation is more a function of if you're getting a slight laxative effect. If you increase by half a teaspoon, do you get the laxative effect? And do you want to, you're not saying how much you're on, but you could play with your amounts. 5.7 is pretty cool. I tell people 6.0. But if your range is 4 to 6.2, yeah, 5.7 is pretty high. So just play with it and see if you can get a little laxative effect and then pull back. But just go up a half or even a quarter teaspoon. We don't want to, create anything big. I know when I every once in a while will take an extra half teaspoon, and I do notice a little bit of laxative effect. So I know I'm still saturated. Now, the next one, someone is saying my magnesium was 3 in my blood. They're not telling me if it's serum or RBC magnesium, but she says I'm severely deficient. I have internal vibrations, tremors, spasms constantly all over my body. And I think she says, I've now been taking Remag for 3 days. How long before symptoms disappear? Can I also use other forms of magnesium? This is Ashley. Now, you don't need other forms if you just use Remag. It's the best absorbed. And it's hard to say how long it will take. How long have you been having tremors? How old are you? Are you on medications? What's your diet like? What's your stress like? So it can be, for young people, they tend to get better pretty quickly. But if you've had it for a decade, it will slowly improve. You'll get an inkling that you're on the right path, but just go slowly. Don't overdo it. Don't get too impatient and go too fast, because you don't want to get the laxative effect. Next one, why is arthritis not on the list of the list that Ginny put out in the blog? That's why I talk about the 65 conditions. Arthritis is on the 65 conditions. And just the last question, we are advised to take high doses of vitamin D during the dark days of winter. Dr. Dean, you say we're taking these to our detriment because of the storage of calcium. Why are you at odds with other food scientists in this regard? I'm totally at odds with everybody, Keith. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. But the reason I don't recommend the high-dose vitamin D, and I used to say above 2,000 might be too high for some people, because vitamin D requires magnesium in order to turn it into the active form. So when they crazily started giving people 50,000 units of synthetic vitamin D, it threw a lot of people into magnesium deficiency, because so much of their magnesium was diverted to this vitamin D metabolism. So that was my concern. But vitamin D is so important, and that's one of the reasons we started with the grassroots health home blood spot research, so we could find out if our people are getting enough vitamin D. And that's going to be helpful. The blood test tests vitamin D, whole blood magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and TSH. And the cost of the test is given back to you in product coupons. So please, everybody, sign up for that test. And that's the mailbag. I have a bunch of testimonials, some Facebooks, and etc. But we can here's a customer testimonial. Let me say this one. Silver. It's about Silver. I wanted to tell you what Silver did for my son-in-law. He feels that he had an infection in his throat and lungs and was spitting up nasty brown stuff. Took Pico Silver, not sure of the dosage per day, but the infection was gone in maybe 4 to 5 days. At some point, he was so weak he could hardly get out of bed. So needless to say, I shipped them another bottle of Pico Silver because some of our grandchildren and my daughter came down with the flu and fever, etc. Thank the Lord that they are on the mend also. I love having your products for my husband and daughter here at home. 1 married daughter and husband and 4 grandchildren. So there's your Pico Silver for these trying times with flus and colds and everybody scaring you. Okay, Jenny, yes. We have 4 minutes or less.
Okay. Let's do a couple questions here left over from the chat line. One of them, Michael Kulikowski, typed in and asked, can you add Remag and sea salt to coffee enemas to make them more effective?
I've never tried that. I don't think there would be any harm. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I don't know if I'd bother with doing that. The sea salt might be irritating. The Remag is very concentrated. I know you'd probably dilute it. Personally, I wouldn't see what the benefit could be.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Next question is, what does Dr. Dean suggest to help with interstitial cystitis?
Interstitial cystitis is like an autoimmune condition of the bladder. It's an irritation of the bladder. I've found that doing a yeast detox and the Remag can be very helpful. So that's where I would start. And I might have it in my Future Health Now encyclopedia. I forget, but you can download a free copy of my 600-page Future Health Now encyclopedia from drcarolyndeanlive.com. And we do offer these books for free. In the books, I do talk about the products. It really helps our customer service overload by them being able to direct you to a book so that you can learn about things. So keep that encyclopedia on hand when you have a question, and it's not a Monday.
Okay, and also, Sid, just real quick, we've got 40 seconds left, but the Future Health Now encyclopedia also works with our homeopathic kit, and sometimes there's a homeopathic remedy, too, for something like that. Not necessarily, but sometimes. So consider that, because homeopathy can be an option. And we've got a great kit that we don't talk about very much, but it's really good. And we thank everybody, Sharon and Eva Anthony. Oh, even Anthony. I haven't heard from Eva in the longest. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, everybody. It was a great show. And thank you, Carolyn, for being just so magnanimous.
Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Ginny.
You've been listening to Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show. For questions about today's show, email Dr. Dean at questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com.